But welcome to our short webinar about a day in the life of a digital employee. We're running this webinar in English, so more people can understand. And we've set off time for questions and answers towards the end. And let's see if I can share my screen with you guys. We will do. Wait a second. I'm going to share my screen. It's always a bit of a tech challenge here. Here we're jumping through everything, and we're good to go. Yes, so we are giving this webinar on a day in the life of a digital employee, which is our core concept here at Simplifai. And we have a couple of employees out there. Today we're focusing on one in particular, and we'll introduce it actually later. In the invite it says 45 minutes today. The lovely person in the company who wrote 45 minutes kind of overdid it a bit, so we set up 30 minutes for this session. We will run about 20, and then we have time for Q&A, so please feel free when we get there. And if there's anything other than that, we will save this for upload on YouTube for later if somebody would like to see it again. And if there's anything else later on, please feel free to reach out to either Oda or myself. And on that note, so who are myself? My name is Daniel. I'm head of commercials at Simplifai, and probably with me, Oda.
Yeah, so my name is Oda. I'm working as a business analyst in Simplifai. I'm also the mother of the digital employee, which we'll be talking about today.
We won't mention the father in this setting, but Oda has been with the project and with the conception of Sødde, and still is with them since Sødde is absolutely in full production. So there's still development and learning and things to do with Sødde, and we'll touch upon that later on today. So the agenda for this session is as presented on the web. We'll talk a bit about what is a digital employee, or what we believe a digital employee is all about. We'll introduce Sødde, the digital employee, which currently works at ClaimsLink. Say 2 words about ClaimsLink later, and then explain what a typical day looks like for Sødde. And since that explanation isn't necessarily a very long one, we'll explain a bit more about Sødde's life, what it does and how it works. Say a bit about systems and compatibilities around Sødde naturally in what it actually does every day. And we'll touch upon how you could acquire or hire a digital employee into your organization and how that could work. So hopefully we'll give you a picture of the digital employee from a more of a business working perspective. We won't touch upon the techie details since neither of us are techie people actually. But if you want to know more about that, we have roughly 60 colleagues who do know tech very well, so please feel free. But today it's more about how it works, what it does, what kind of value it actually creates, and how it fits into the organization of ClaimsLink. Right, so let's kick it off. And what is a digital employee? Well, in simplified terms, a digital employee is a tech solution. Naturally, it's a software technically, but it fits into your organization as if it's an employee. It fills a function, it fills a job where we would normally hire a person, and it can do tasks as if it is a person, not completely naturally, but to a very, very long and high extent. And I think that's probably what's most revolutionizing about it. We'll touch upon that later, but to what extent it can actually function as if it is a human. And in the sketch we show you today, it's, if you see the slide on the screen, this is how it kind of looks in the setup at ClaimsLink or which any of our customers. Our digital employees in this case, so that works in customer service. It can receive emails, documents, it can chat, it can work in a portal, it can interact with its other colleagues, and it can work with the back office systems, just as more or less we would do in any of our job settings. And this is the goal of the digital employee, to fill a function and complete some kind of value chain in an organization or a team which has a task to do for the greater company. To be able to do this or create this value, the trick of the bot is that the bot needs to do repetitive standardized tasks. This is also what we've known from earlier times when we did IT automation, And then, yeah, the people will do sensitive, complex tasks. The way this balance has of course been on the very, very highly standardized repetitive tasks. What we see today and what's the revolution in using AI is that this borderline is moving. It's more and more we can put to the bots, and they can become more than just somebody handling or just the software handling repetitive. It can actually function in team, and hence the term the digital employee. In Simplifai, we see that the usage of AI into this digital automation will revolutionize how we run our businesses tomorrow, and will create possibilities we don't see today. We don't really know how much we will be able to do with AI in the future. We just started this wave or this revolution in a sense, and it will just become bigger and bigger and bigger. You can read about it in the news, but you can also actually experience it into your back office operations. And this is basically what Sødde is doing for ClaimsLink. And for us, we believe that we will do what robots did for car industry in 50 years. We will do that for your back office operations in 5 years. And we're good on the way. And so this is a very good example. And for our customers today, there are very different reasons for why they want to join this put a revolution is a bit of a cliche, but it's actually kind of what's going on. But they have very different reasons. They want to save time. They want to have availability for their customers to be available 24/7. So the point of customer service. They want to save resources, and they want to create capacity, meaning they would like to do more. And in some cases, they also want to create quality, consistency in answers, easy to integrate into new systems, and to be able to be a better supplier towards their customers. And that's also where the story of ClaimsLink starts, is with the trigger points of increased customer service and the ability to grow as cheaply as possible, meaning they needed more capacity, right? Yeah, so they had a team of about 10 when they started, and they have muscles from their mother company to actually grow. And then the question comes, how fast can you grow in 2 years? How would that business case look? And to be able to also deliver higher and better customer service, in addition, not just grow on the expense of your customers, how can we do this? And back in 2018, when they started looking for suppliers, we came up as a new one for them. And the usage of AI was for them very intriguing. And luckily for us, it became a very good cooperation. So that process ended in Sødde. So we will introduce to you now, after naming it, because it's an it, right? Yeah. It's neither he or she. Introducing Sødde, the digital employee that works with claims. So I'll give the word to his mother to present them. Please, Ola.
Yeah, thank you. So after having a few sketches and so on, we started with the development of Sødde. And on its first day working at ClaimsLink, they actually decided to throw Sødde a welcome party. So this is a few pictures from that, where everyone embraced their new colleague. And I think it's very interesting how they kind of took the name Sødde Partners and put it into the digital employee.
Right, because they had a name in contest, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Poll such.
Yeah, and I think there are more than 100 different suggestions.
Right.
So and then just as any other regular colleague, it's important to see, once you have had your solution or digital employee into production for a little while, how is it actually performing? Is it still living up to their measures? Are there any areas of improvements? Have we been able to establish the best practice that we intended to establish? Because one of the definitely good advantages of having a digital employee is that an AI solution never forgets what it's actually learned, right?
True.
Which is honestly slightly different from our people.
But this is it's a gimmick that they run this performance review, but it's also if you remember it, it's a very important point for them. Quality is key.
Yeah.
And that Sødde also delivers on promises and expectations is for them, of course, imperative, but also something they were uncertain about walking into AI. How will actually this work, right?
Right. And before Sødde, they really didn't measure the quality. But now they have a dashboard where they can see everything. We give them lots of statistics in other ways as well. And they actually see that the quality have increased.
Right.
And it continues increasing because the AI learns, right?
Right. So Trine here, which is the head of Sødde, actually it's a manager, gave this short performance review, but actually is very, very happy with the performance into the team. Yeah, and then after a year in production, we looked into what have Sødde actually done so far, and we see that it has read around 56,000 emails, and that was year one. And we see that after that, the number of emails have drastically increased. We can just see that on the statistics. So right now, if we were to measure it again, I would think that on a yearly basis, we are around 100,000 emails a year. Wow.
But ClaimSync really doesn't notice this because it just works, right?
Right.
The solution just works.
So they come there Monday morning and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Because so they basically work through the weekend.
Yeah,
right.
It works nonstop.
So their customers, they get emails from ClaimSync Saturday night. We registered your claim or registered your case or updated your card, right? Which is nice, which is different from a lot of customer service desks, which comes Monday morning and you dread this tower or this mountain of stuff to handle, right? So Sødde works 24/7, and loves it, as they say. It just works. Apart from that, we'll dig into on the next couple of slides kind of what tasks Sødde performs and how it works. But I think the key is also to understand that for Trine and Trine's team, they experience this as a colleague. And of course, we try to give them that perspective because that's how we conceptualize this, but they actually like that and embrace that into how they presented this to the team and to the organization. Because of course, any software needs kind of organizational adaptation and people need to work with it. To a certain extent like it, even though we have software we don't like, but it needs to be a part of how the value chain function, and they absolutely experience that. So for them, it's become critical, right? So Sødde today performs and runs majority of the processes in the customer service team. So if anything stops or breaks down, you're early here to fix it, right?
Yeah.
So, but again, our service team then makes sure Sødde works, and for them it's a critical component now.
And it also helps several other departments. And when I am visiting ClaimSync right now, and we discuss some things, then some of the colleagues of Sødde is like, they're talking about maybe some repetitive task or something which they think is boring.
Right.
And there's like, that's a job for Sødde, right?
Right. So it's a job for everybody to figure out what more it could do.
Right. Definitely.
And it's been probably half a year ago now when Sødde got its own email address. So it's Sødde at ClaimSync now. So and that's right. When you email Sødde, it can actually archive for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different things Sødde can help you with. I think we can actually move to the next slide.
Yep.
I was thinking, can we go to the next one and then go back one? Yeah, perfect. So I was thinking just to talk a little bit about what does Sødde actually do, right?
Brilliant.
So as of today, in the customer service department, Sødde reads all the incoming emails. It works as a first line of support. So if you have any emails you send to the customer service, Sødde reads through it, it categorizes it. What kind of inquiry are we actually receiving here? And then it registers the cases. It interprets all the documents which you might have attached to that email.
Right.
And it registers cases in the CRM system. The documents are archived in SharePoint, and all of that basically. And updates cases for other departments and so on.
Right. So if it gets more info on a prior case or notice, it will go back into the CRM system, which in this case is Microsoft Dynamics, and actually update. So it's not just a one-way street kind of work, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it can also see what kind of documents have formerly been received on this case.
Okay.
And make a judgment, okay, so should we now convert it to a new kind of status on this case based on both the inquiry, which is at hand, and from former received documents.
Okay, brilliant. And I think that's also an important part to understand. It's not just a one-way automated street. You give input and you get action on the back end, right? Because so the functions both ways. It can understand that something is missing, I'm lacking something, and it can give that feedback.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's also a key to the AI point here that makes this communication or interaction possible. That it's not just a rule-based system that says if this then that. So they can actually understand that there's more going on around it than just that. What if it doesn't get it? There must be stuff it doesn't get, right? You got to comment that.
Yeah, sure. So there are a few things which Sedde doesn't understand, either because it's not taught how to handle it, or because there might be missing information in the emails. So what it does then is basically it tries to first register a case, for instance, and if not able to do that, it will kind of send the email to the customer service who are handling the case manually. But when doing so, it tells them the reason why you cannot register the case.
Right.
So it tells them, okay, I'm missing this information, for instance. Or I could find several policies on that same information. Which one would you like me to register on?
Right.
And then the customer service employees gives that information to Sødde, and Sødde says, thank you. Now I have enough.
Right.
And then he processes the case.
Right. Which is how we would like sometimes everybody to work. If there's something you're missing, try and highlight for a colleague what's wrong.
Yeah.
What's my problem, right? And not just scream it doesn't work, but actually try and ask for help in a way which makes it easier for colleagues to actually extend that help and fix the problem and then go back and fix it.
Yeah.
And a feedback we get on Sødde is the fact that doing that, it creates even more value and becomes even more an integrated part of the team, since it doesn't necessarily just create a lot of things that doesn't work. It will try and fix it as long as you give it some kind of feedback. Good. And in the follow-up of Sødde, that's also something where we work together with ClaimsLink, right? What it couldn't handle in, let's say, the prior quarter, we try and fix, how can we train it? How can we teach it to fix this in the coming period so that it will be better and better?
Yeah. Which
is a part of the performance review part, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to what we skipped. Yeah. But talking about value creation, the key here for ClaimsLink it's not an insurance company as such. It handles insurance claims. So when an insurance is enforced, you will report this to ClaimsLink, and ClaimsLink will handle the case. So if you look at ClaimsLink, there are a lot of lawyers, 40 to 50 lawyers, and then they have a customer service team which pre-processes and helps with everything that needs to be done. And of course, a lot of customer interaction, gathering documents, and not just end customers. It's not a B2C primarily, also B2B channel where there's other law firms, other insurers that interact with ClaimsLink. So this is ClaimsLink. And they receive, that's somewhere between 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 emails a month, a bit, of course, related to the season. The request from ClaimsLink was how to grow, how to create this capacity, and how to create this improved customer service. They had roughly 3 days, right? Which was their response time, and now they're down to second and minutes, as long as Sødde actually does all first line interaction.
Correct.
As of now, they have a process where they process through Sødde 100% of all incoming emails. Everything coming into ClaimsLink is read by Sødde. It's emails and attachments coming in as documents. And roughly 80% of what runs through Sødde is not touched by the human colleagues. It's actually something Sødde can process itself. It's of course dependent on what they get in, but normally now after training, it handles such an extent. Today, they have created roughly 6 FTEs in capacity, meaning they have expanded their team by roughly 60%. So they can handle 60% more, or probably even more actually, with the speed than what they could do before, and that's just in a year. So envision expanding your team that rapidly to do even more, and this at the very, very, very low cost. We said that from signing to production, this was done in less than 4 months, and actually it was. So the had its onboarding party and the cake, which you saw in the prior slides, after just 4 months. But again, for us, and we'll touch upon that later, we've built the solution now. We've filled a digital employee with Intel, and for us, we can redeliver Sødde in a fraction of that time, if we have to do this again. So that's all. We won't show you the video. The video is here, so please look at it at YouTube if you'd like, and the reference is out there. Just to finalize the story of Sødde. So as you stand the day of Sødde, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work filled with pleasure, as we would probably say. But that's what Sødde does, 24/7. But if you kind of open the hood, and we promise you we wouldn't go into tech, and we still won't, but we'll just comment on what Sødde really is all about. And if you look at the process of Sødde, and this is the first process we did, right? This is this is the notice process, which is the first kind of touch ClaimSync has with the client, or
the first scope.
The first scope, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we looked into what does it make to register a type of case, which is called a notice. So we looked at all the different process steps. So first you receive an email, and then you interpret it, and so on. And there are some decisions which needs to be done, and then you log into on the UI on the CRM Dynamics and archive it in SharePoint and so on. So what we basically did was to recreate those capabilities into our solution and created standard models, which you will touch upon later as well, right. Which we can now reuse for every other customer who comes in.
And if you look at it, it's as sketched here. Outlook handles their emails, and which is it's the client's system. It's their customer portal. So basically, Sødde uses its email bot to read emails and the free text coming in from a portal. It uses the document bot to actually handle the attachment and read and document, classify and extract. It has a rule engine to help it decide what to do with the information it now has acquired. And then it has access, just as we have username and password to our CRM systems or to SharePoint, it has the same. Correct. So it logs into these two platforms, which is what it uses and can work with to upload and enter documents and data. So that's basically the setup. And if we, as we put into the webinar headline, what's the back office system? Basically anything, because we can connect this digital employee or our employees to any back office systems. Some we have a plug and play going on with, for instance, with Microsoft Dynamics and SharePoint and a couple of others. But creating access to a system isn't that hard in these days. Either it's a very easy integration, or we can use other services for that.
Correct.
Right. If we leave Sødde just for a second, because time flies, the question is, how do you get your digital employee? Well, a couple of slides on that. First of all, the modules which we built Sødde with are available for anybody, either as a standalone product or for us in ClaimSync, for us in Simplifai, as modules with which we can build new digital employees. And we have a chatbot, we have an email, we have a document bot. All of these are found in our Simplifai Studio platform, where we can also create the rules engines and also connect to back office systems. So we have a set of modules and products with which we can build the digital employee needed for any process. And if we look at that, we have created a portfolio of some to show you guys here. And of course, they got to have names. You got to embrace the personalities here. So you got Esther, the dispatcher, who basically just receives all emails and decides what is it, what it's all about, who needs this, and ships it off. And for some organizations, that's a bottleneck in itself, how to get the right information and the right email to the right person or to the right process or system. So that's what Esther can do. You got Kyle, the customer service representative, who works first line or maybe also second line customer desk or customer front, can receive emails, chat, forward just like Esther, but has an even bigger skill set in a way that it can work in ticketing systems or in customer service systems, creating tickets, handle tickets, and then also forward or upload data. We've created Felicia, the finance clerk, works in a finance department. She has skills in accounts payables and receivables, can do tax reporting, and also from one of our bigger reference clients, does payroll production. You've got 12,000 employees. Creating payroll every month for international operations is a massive job. It can affect your operations severely. So having that effective is a big gain. And then last but not least, Our case management associates, we call here Steve, which is probably the closest we can get to Sødde. Steve is molded by Sødde, we could probably say. And naturally would work closely with customer service, get inputs from there, has access to back office systems, CRM, SharePoint, archives, or other back office platforms. It can prep documents, it can read and extract, and of course double up as a customer service rep if needed. And then we can use these tools to create basically any operation. So what do we normally do? Well, we would, look at the process. If you don't have a process, or if something from our portfolio don't fit, find the process or find the need where you would like to go. What's your business need? You want to grow, you want to save, you want to effectivize, you want to increase quality. What's the need? That's where it starts. Find a process that matches the need. We'll discuss business case and expected performance. And of course, with Sødde and ClaimsLink, that's a repetitive question.
Yeah,
does Sødde deliver the value, create the quality which we expected? And the performance view is a funny thing, but we did discuss it a lot. How do you do performance view on something which is a software and AI? Well, to be honest, it's almost like you do with the people you employ. Are they happy? How do they do? What do they do? Are you happy with it? How can you make it even better? How can you teach them, train them? How do you work with them? And we work with our digital employees in the same way.
Which skills should they learn next?
Which skills should they learn next? Absolutely, right? When it's learned, when it's up and coming, up and running, we all know that from our work life, you get bored sometimes. And maybe you would like to do something else or learn some new skills. Point 3, how to put it into your organization. How would you adapt it in? How would it work? How's it set up? Train and onboard, get it up and running, and then again, iterate, ensure that it stays happy and exceeds performance day after day. So we would say 2 to 4 weeks easily, you're up and running. And then after that, you can iterate, you can expand, and you can work with it just as you do with any employee. And as it said, sometimes in HR, you hire for attitude and you train for skills. So with that quote, I think we're going to round it off. We're a bit over time. And thank you for listening. And we have some time for questions. So I'll see if I can open up my, where do I click?
Stop share.
Stop share. And I'll open up my screen here if there is anybody who has any questions. Let's see if we have a chat here and we have a Q&A here, which are there for questions. And yeah, we have a question on price. Classic. So yeah, it has a price. If you hire an employee, it has a cost. And also the digital employees, they require a salary at some point. So if you buy something from us, there is a license price and there is a usage price. So the good thing about it is that you pay for what it actually produces and how it actually creates value. But looking at it as an employee is not wrong when it comes to the cost. Good.
Yeah, one question I often receive when I'm having client meetings, especially in the initial phase, is do we need to think of all the things I don't want the bot or the digital employee to do? Will it be a problem that it receives lots of spam, for instance, and so on? And the answer to that is that it's not a problem at all. You just train it to recognize that this is spam, or this is one email type I should not handle.
Right.
And then your problem is solved. So you don't need to structure your data before we start.
Right. Good point. But we got one follow-up question here, which is how does the organization get impacted from a digital employee? Well, of course, in a positive way. But I think it's fair to say that it all change. It's important to kind of prep a bit for change. This is something new coming in. It's if you look at ClaimsLink, getting Sødde on board is almost like you add 6 people to a team of 10, and of course that has an impact, right? It wouldn't have the same impact because you're not 6 people to cater for lunch or do other things. There's somebody there to do a lot of work. But it's fair to say that for all such teams, there will be a change. But I think mostly when we do this with companies, as with Sødde, it's a positive change because we remove a lot of tasks which they don't want to do anyway. We give them a lot of freedom to actually do things that are complex. And as we highlighted early on, there are still things that are complex. There are still things that are sensitive, where you would like a human to actually interact with the end customer, or where such complexity that it's just not reasonable for the AI or the Sødde in this case to actually handle it, and they're better off with the human. But you need time and you need effort to actually do these things every day, and that's what Sødde here creates for claims. A lot of capacity to actually dig into that, in addition to widening business and actually doing 60% more than they did before.
Yeah. So it kind of takes hand of all the things that an end customer will just expect that to be done.
Yeah.
Right. Not necessarily think that this is what's add value.
Right.
Right.
And I think for other, like if you look at claims thing, for the lawyers there who suddenly got a clerk kind of function, because Sødde works for the lawyers too, to just send him or send it. Sorry, what you need to archive. Just send it to Sødde. Sødde will archive. It saves them hours every week. It's a massive business case, but also a massive reliever of things nobody actually want to do, and that's a massive positive change. Okay, then I think we're going to round it off, and thank you again for listening, and I hope this was worthwhile. Any follow-up questions, feel free to find Oda and myself either on LinkedIn on our simplifai.ai, and good luck getting your digital employee.
Thank you.